How are you guys? Welcome back to Wargaming China. And today I'm finally doing what I want to do with this channel and showcase my war games and my and thus platforming my understandings of the War of Resistance against Japanese aggression in China from 1931 to 1945. Okay, so where are we? Well, before I tell you where we are, I'm going to cast my mind back to many videos that I've done on this channel, and a lot of them, especially on the Chinese side, are catalogues of cock-ups. So today I wanted to bring a war game to you that, how can I put this? The other day I was watching a doco on Arnhem, the Battle of Arnhem, and I realised by how many cock-ups there were that they had catalogued that perhaps so many battles are catalogued and documented so well because it's, especially European battles, because it's cock-up after cock-up, or especially in the Chinese battles where it's cock-up after cock-up. So today I wanted to showcase an example of a time when the Chinese did everything right. So here we are at Pudong, Shanghai, 1937. And Pudong is in Hangzhou Bay, and it's the left bank of the Suzhou Creek. Now I'll show that better with the map. Okay, the map is Benjamin Lai's. It's from Benjamin Lai's book, and we are here in Shanghai. Most of the fighting is on the other side. So on the 14th of August, the 337th Infantry Regiment of the 169th Brigade of the 57th Division of General Zhang Fukui's 8th Army Group attacked Pudong. Now, when we factor in all the things that went wrong on the other side of the river on that first day, how did Zhang Fukui managed to pull off this victory? Because things here went like clockwork. Pudong is a Japanese supply depot. It's a Japanese naval supply depot, and although it has a perimeter wall and is quite well protected, the Japanese, although they might have probably, I think what happened here was all the action that day was on that side was on the other side of the river. All the drama and commotion and carry on was on the other side of the river. And on the other side of the river, we've got to remember that although Chang's forces had started to arrive in the city on the 12th and the 13th, their infiltration into the city and close to the Japanese line went very badly, because they were forming up in the open under Japanese air observation. But on this side of the river, at Hangzhou Bay, things went a bit different. All eyes for the Japanese seem to have been on the fighting around Jia Bay. The Navy was concentrating on the Chinese Air Force that had appeared, and it seems that the Chinese did everything right and then got lucky. Now, Hangzhou Bay is, or was at the time, a mix of agricultural and farmland and factories. And the Japanese Navy had bought some land here and developed it into a naval depot. Now, the the Japanese were well in place here with pillboxes, but because this area had been quiet, the Japanese were even though the Japanese had pulled the Japanese Navy had pulled as many men away for the fighting in Shanghai as possible from everywhere, scraped them out from everywhere. So it's very doubtful how it's not known how strong the Japanese force was here. So I've given them 4 naval infantry companies, which is probably too much. 2 machine guns, 2 medium machine guns, and a 3-pounder. Now, as the day wore on, the attack started at about 3 o'clock in the afternoon, and for the we've got to hand it to the 57th Division, because for them to infiltrate so close to the Japanese positions without the Japanese knowing it. Because remember, on the other bank, the army had failed to disperse its forces, so the Japanese, it was very obvious to the Japanese where the Chinese were centering their attack, and where they were marshalling. But here, as I said, General Fukui did everything right. So I'm going to make this an 8-turn game. With one Germanized infantry regiment. The 57th was kind of a semi-Germanized. It wasn't fully equipped with German equipment, and that's reflected here in the Bofors, 75mm guns. In 1937, wherever the Chinese put their artillery, they always backed it up with anti-aircraft guns, and that proved to be a bit of a mistake, because as soon as the Japanese found that out, they would snoop and look very closely with aerial observation for the Chinese artillery. Now, these Chinese guns would keep firing throughout the battle once Pudong fell, but there would be criticism that during the Operation of Iron Fist, this independent regiment, the 8th Army Group, was consisted of 5 divisions and 1 independent artillery regiment, and it was criticised that it did not support the Chinese enough during the battle for Yongchipu Docks, or Operation Iron Fist. But I'm not going to comment on that. So this is an 8-turn rapid-fire game. I've given the Chinese an infantry regiment with an artillery regiment of 2 guns, 275mm Bofors. The Chinese will start as they have occupied and infiltrated the buildings, and they are waiting for H hour. And the Chinese attack will basically concentrate. Get my poker. My pointer. The Chinese infantry attack will focus between here and here. By 6 o'clock, after about 3 hours of fighting, the Japanese evacuated this position. Now, it's unknown why the Japanese Navy or air assets failed to support the sailors at Pudong. There are suppositions that their radio equipment, communication equipment was damaged, but this is again questionable, because these are sailors and they are trained in semaphore, so there should still have been some communication. And then the factor is that other officers say that the battle was just overlooked by the Japanese in all the events of the day. And others say, and this is me when I say this, I also feel that the presence of so much fuel, ammunition and shells within these warehouses, and with the Chinese in close proximity and with artillery, that may well have helped the Japanese to decide to evacuate this facility. because if one of these buildings had gone up, there wouldn't have been much left. So plenty of factors went into the into the decision of the Japanese to withdraw. And I'm sure there are just as many, that even more so than I have explored, as to why the defences at Pudong failed to attract any air support or naval gunfiring support. But also it could be that the ships got close enough, and when the fighting was at its peak, they just couldn't tell friend from foe. So many factors there. Okay, I'm going to play this as an 8-turn game. I should knock this one out there. It shouldn't be very difficult game. And just give you a quick whiz around the table. I do have a few Rebels on here that don't field, because the 57th Division was, as it said, not equipped entirely with German equipment. I gave it an Italian 20mm anti-aircraft gun and an Italian 47mm bowler. As I said, lovely guns I've just finished. Both are 75mm guns. These could have, indeed, I don't know what the regiment was firing on that day. And I'll explain how I work out my artillery for rapid fire, for playing Chinese for rapid fire at a later date. Alright, I hope you enjoyed that. I hope you press like. Hey, I've got 407 subscribers. I haven't had any new subscribers for yonks. So I'd sure like some more subscribers. Alright guys, that's it for me. See ya.